I have since been struck by the crudity of this announcement. It took my chief's breath away. "I deeply sympathize with you," he said at last. "Thank you," said I. "A terrible catastrophe. No wonder it has upset you. Horrible. 6 living human beings, 3 generations of men." "That's just it," said I. 3 generations of my family swept away, leaving me now at the head of it. At this moment, the chief's wife came into the library with the morning paper in her hand. On seeing me, she rushed forward. "Have you had bad news?" "Yes. Is it in the paper?" "I was coming to show my husband. The name is an uncommon one. I wondered if they might be relatives of yours." I bowed acquiescence. The chief looked at the paragraph below his wife's indicating thumb. Then he looked at me as if I, too, had suffered a sea change. "I had no idea," he said. "Why, now you are Sir Marcus Ordeyne." "Sounds idiotic, doesn't it?" said I, with a smile. "But I suppose I am." And so came my release from captivity. I was profoundly affected by the awful disaster, but it would be sheer hypocrisy if I said that I felt personal grief. I knew none of the dead, of whom I verily believed the valet was the worthiest man. My grandfather and uncles had ignored my existence. Not a helping hand had they stretched out to my widowed mother in her poverty, when one kindly touch would have meant all. They do not seem to have been a lovable race, the Ordeynes. What my father, the youngest son, was like, I have no idea, as he died when I was 2 years old. But my mother, who was somewhat stern and puritanical, spoke of him very much as she would have spoken of the prophet Joel, had he been a personal acquaintance. 7 years today have I been a free man. Feeling at peace with all the world, I called this afternoon on my Aunt Jessica, Mrs. Ordeyne, who had borne me no malice for stepping into the place that should have been the inheritance of her husband and of her son. Rather had she devised to adopt me, to guide my ambitions, and to point out my duties as the head of the house. If I refuse to be adopted, avoid ambitions, and disclaim duties, the fault lies not with her goodwill. She is a well-preserved, worldly woman of 55, and having begun to dye her hair in the peroxide of hydrogen era, has not the curiosity to abandon the practice and see what colour will result. I wish I could like her. I can't. She purrs. Some day I feel she will scratch. She received me graciously. "My dear Marcus, at last. Didn't you know I have been in town ever since Easter?" "No," said I, "I'm afraid I didn't." It was true. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I would have asked you to dinner, but you will never come. As for at-home cards, I never dream of sending them to you. It is a waste of precious halfpenny stamps." "You might have written me a nice little letter about nothing at all," I suggested. "For you to say, 'What is that woman worrying me with her silly letters for?' I know what you men are." She looked arch. This is precisely what I should have said. As I am not an inventive liar, I could only smile feebly. I am never at my ease with Aunt Jessica. I am not the kind of person to afford her entertainment. I do not belong to her world of opulence, and if even I desired it, which the gods forbid, my means would not enable me to make the necessary display. My uncle, thinking to retrieve the fallen fortunes of the title, amassed enormous wealth as a company promoter, while I, on whom the title has descended, am perfectly contented with its fallen fortunes. I have scarcely a thought or taste in common with my aunt. In fact, I must bore her exceedingly. Yet she hides her boredom beneath a radiant countenance, and leads me to understand that my society gives her inexpressible joy. I wonder why. She was always big-eyed philosopher and friending me. I resent it. A man of 40 does not need the counsels of an elderly woman destitute of intellect. I believe there are some women who are firmly convinced that their sheer sex has imbued them with all the qualities of genius. Today, my aunt tackled me on the subject of marriage. I ought to marry. I asked why. It appeared it was every man's duty. From what point of view, I asked, the mere propagation of the human race, or the providing of a superfluous young woman with a means of livelihood? If it is the former, then in my opinion there are too many people in the world already.